Vayere Vayevoka Yom Echad. The first day of creation is referred to in the Torah as Yom Echad. It would have made more sense to refer to it as Yom Rishon, because all the other days are called Yom Sheni, Yom Shlishi, Yom Revi'i. Why Yom Echad? To which Chazal say that Yom Echad is a reference to a day of the year which is Echad, which is Meyuchad, which is unique. And that day is Yom Kippur. Of all the days of the year, this day has got a special spiritual power to it, which I'd like to have a closer look at for a few moments. One of the striking features is, when we go to Shul on Yom Kippur, is to find that we have on Yom Kippur not just the three tefillahs, Shachris, Mincha, and Ma'ariv of a weekday, not only the additional tefillah of Musaf, but we also have, uniquely, a fifth tefillah towards the end of the day, as the day is closing, the tefillah of Ne'ilah, a very powerful final tefillah. So, of course, the day we're standing before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it's Ki b'yom hazeh yechaper aleichem l'taher eschem. It's a day of tahara, it's a day of purity, it's a day when we can reconnect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and rid ourselves of the misdeeds and the aveiros of the year, and daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for a gebenchte Yor. And please God, everybody should really see in this new year a new siyata d'shmaya for Klal Yisrael, particularly to find solutions to some of our most difficult national issues. But I'd like to have a closer look at the day of Yom Kippur itself. 5 tefillahs. Why 5 tefillahs? There is here a very interesting second question, and that is that when the Mishnah and the Gemara is detailing for us the halachas of Yom Kippur, we only have in the Torah one word, and that is v'inisem es nafshaseichem, that we have to in some way afflict ourselves. So firstly, that the Chazal learn out that afflict ourselves doesn't mean causing ourselves actively pain. It just means afflicting ourselves in the sense of depriving ourselves of physical pleasures. The Mishnah in Maseches Yuma Daf Ayin Gimel goes on to give us a list of all the inuyim, different categories. And it turns out that there are chamisha inuyim. And all the Rishonim speak about the Chamisha Inuyim, the 5 different restrictions of Yom Kippur, and all the halachos of Yom Kippur really relate to these prohibitions. The first one is, of course, eating and drinking. The second one is bathing, rechitza. Then the third one is sicha. Sicha means applying various different oils or lotions or whatever it is, treatments to one's skin, soaps and various types of deodorants are all included in the restrictions of Yom Kippurim. That's sicha, spelled with a samach yud kaf, not sin yud ches, but samach yud kaf, which literally means anointing, but it's got to do with all sorts of pleasurable applications onto the skin. And the third one is N'ilas HaSandal, wearing leather shoes. And the fifth one is Tashmish HaMita, which is marital, conjugal relationships, 5 categories of physical pleasures. And for 24 hours, we are switching that off. We're not engaging in any of these physical pleasures of bathing, etc., eating and drinking. All these are switched off for the day. And it's interesting, it's Omer Dorsheni a little bit. Why is it that there are both 5 tefillahs and 5 restrictions? This is not by chance. This is not just a mikra. And I'd like to have a bit of a closer look at that. And I'm quite sure that the source of it goes something like this. And maybe a good place to start is to look at an interesting midrashic image that Chazal give us, which is, Chazal speak about a mismatched shidduch between a princess who grows up in a palace surrounded by culture and art and music and fine foods and beautiful clothes and beautiful surroundings, and for some reason or another she ends up marrying a peasant. And the peasant is brutal and he's rough and he's got no interests in anything sophisticated or anything spiritual. He likes getting drunk, he likes feeding the animals, he likes working the land, and there is no real way in which he can make her happy, because all the things that she's interested in, he doesn't even know exist. And therefore, this shidduch is I think you'll agree with me, something of a doomed shidduch. But this is a midrashic story, and in this midrashic story, the part of the marriage deal is that one day a year, the princess is allowed to go and visit the home of her father, of the king, of the palace, and to engage for one day in only those uplifting and inspiring activities that she so much loves, the music, the paintings, everything that she grew up with, that she gets a dose of that beauty, and then she goes back to live with her peasant of a husband. What's the point of this particular midrashic image? And the answer is that this is an illustration, a moshel of the way in which the neshama lives with the guf. The spirit of the neshama which comes from a chelek elokam imal. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us a tzelem elokim. He gave us a spiritual force and a spiritual inspiration, which is the neshama within us, elokai neshama shenosata b'Torah. But it's wedded together with the guf, with the body, and the body's interested in its own gratification and its own pleasures and its own activities. And that is really the story of the human nature, having this dual aspect, as we all know, something which is referred to, and therefore the human being has got, if you like, two different mechanisms of interests and desires. What the Baratanya refers to as the Rotzain Elyoin and the Rotzain Tachtain. Right? There is the lower needs and desires, which are very important for survival and for a person's own enjoyment. And then there is the Rotzain Elyon, which is our interest in spiritual matters, in tefillah, in Torah, in chokhmah, pursuit of chokhmah and chesed, and relationships with the Kehillah, and with Klal Yisrael, and with Eretz Yisrael. All that is the Rotzain Elyon. And we often are in a conflict between the upper, if you like, and the lower levels of human motivation. Yom Echad, there's one day of the year where the neshama is let free. And we say to the neshama, you know what, we're going to switch off the eating, the drinking, the bathing, all the pursuit of physical pleasures. We're going to switch that off. And we're just going to listen carefully to the voice of the neshama and to feel that strength of the inner soul that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us, the greatest gift to mankind that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us, the Tzelem Elokim. And this is one of the beauties of the day of Yom Kippur, and I'd like to just connect this to a Medrash Rabbah. There's a Medrash Rabbah in Bereshis, chapter 14, which speaks about the neshama, and says that actually we refer to the neshama as a general category of the inner spiritual self, the or panimi, if you like, the inner light of the human being. But actually, there are 5 categories to that. And without going into great detail, again, the writings of the Shla Kodesh goes into great detail, but there is the nefesh, which is at the lowest level, that is the life force which is wedded to the physical body, and then there's the ruach. The ruach is already more to do with relationships and with speech and with communication and with Klal Yisrael. That's the ruach. And then there is the neshama. The neshama is already a third category, involved more with intellectual and conceptual understanding and the pleasure of pursuit of wisdom and the learning of Torah. That is the neshama. And then there is a fourth category, which is called the chaya. The chaya is the category that the human being became a nefesh chaya. The chaya is a category of the neshama which is already connected to the olam ha'elyon, connected a little bit to our spiritual source. And then the fifth and final one is called the yechida. The yechida is what makes you and me, what makes each one of us yachid, makes us unique. There's a unique connection that we have with the Or Elyon, with the Ein Sof. And therefore, says the Medrash Rabbah, within the human being, apart from the guf, apart from a physical reality, there is the nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, and yechida. And these are various different layers and levels and dimensions of human spiritual endeavors. So I would like to suggest that actually when it comes to describing Yom Kippur, we need to have 5 tefillas, because the 5 tefillas, each one of them relates to one particular dimension of the neshama. This is the day that the neshama is free from the peasant. We're putting the peasant aside, we're putting it on hold. We're pressing a pause button for all the physical pleasures, and it is just the neshama of the person that is able to shine through. And that is really, people make a mistake about Yom Kippur and think it's all about guilt and about Ashamnu Bogadnu. It's about the neshama. It's about the beauty and the power of everybody's neshama. And through these 5 tefillahs to be able to shine through, to reconnect and re-energize itself with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then at the same time, we'll have 5 categories of switching off the peasant. We switch him off from food and drink, from bathing, etc., etc. That whole list of the Chamisha Inuyim. And that is really the inner structure of Yom Kippurim. Yom Kippurim is designed to turn up the volume in one's neshama, in all 5 dimensions of it, and to turn down the volume of the physical guf. And if one's able to do that just for one day, then that is enough to give a person inspiration and spiritual strength for the forthcoming year. And Be'ez Hashem, we should all have a Gemar Chasima Tova and a good gebenched year. And please God, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'inu Malkeinu Hatzmach Lonu Yeshua B'Korev. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should send us for the whole of Klal Yisrael and in Eretz Yisrael a Yeshua, a protection for our Chayalim, a Refuah Shalema for all the Petzuim, and a speedy return of all the hostages, V'chein Yirot.